Agenda item 15 is the review of numeric performance criteria for methods of analysis for total aflatoxins utilizing the sum of components concept and relevant sampling plan that will focus on reviewing the numeric performance criteria for methods of analysis for total aflatoxins using the sum of components. In the background, in CCF 2024 CCF18, the Codex Committee considered a request from CCMAS 42. In 2023, to revise numeric performance criteria for aflatoxin methods using the sum of components approach across all relevant commodities. In addition to evaluating all the plans of sampling, the main purpose is to ensure it is aligned with the updated general guidelines on sampling. At the CCF18 in 2025, delegates will discuss EWG's proposals as Brazil volunteered to review and propose revised numeric performance criteria for aflatoxins. As a background, we can notice also it was focused on several commodities like peanuts with more processing and ready-to-eat peanuts. In addition to the nuts that need more processing like almond, pistachio, and Brazil nuts. Focused also on the dried figs. These reviews focus on the current performance criteria. After resorting back to sampling plans under the general standard for contaminants in food and feed, submit the revised criteria to CCMAS for endorsement and for subsequent adoption by CAC 48. The methodology adopted for establishing the EWG focused on several key elements, including scope to cover this type of commodities. This work excludes and focus on several items that were pending. Also, it was proposed a new approach based on sum of components. The sum of aflatoxins proposed for certain nuts and dried figs different from the CAC 46 criteria for cereals, focusing on measurable criteria to check the sum of aflatoxins in peanuts, nuts, and dried figs. Also, there was a review of maximum limits of aflatoxin in commodities. Also, limits of detection were established and lowest concentration allowed in the measures and the devices used for measurement and detection of aflatoxins, and the limit of quantification, which is concentration at which aflatoxin can be quantitatively measured with acceptable precision that can be revealed, and other key elements. Next. The methodology proposed in general, it is technically proper and complies with the Food Codex that supports aflatoxin detection, putting into consideration proper application of 4 different commodities. As analysis of the methods used, we can notice the focus on this type of products as they are high-risk food of aflatoxins. Also, the analysis method used of some of aflatoxins in addition to individual contaminants and components is like, or it complies with the sum of component approach that is used. Maximum limits were determined for the process of nuts to be 15 part per million, ready to eat and dried figs 10 part per million that reflect ml of Codex. Regard to the limit of detection and limit of quantification, around 3 per kg for nuts and 2 for ready-to-eat peanuts, while limit of quantification 6 per kg for processed and 4 for ready-to-eat nuts. We can notice also that the coefficient of variation was less than 44%, considered to be acceptable for complex food matrix. They found that around it is high. They found it is relatively high. We can notice there are several criteria, all of them proportional. In addition, the harmonized work codex, it was adopted generally on the CCMAS outcomes in the evaluation. The recommendation for Arab countries regarding the proposed methods, we can notice the impacts on the Arab region, most on the peanut production, almonds, dried figs widely, in addition to import and export in several Arab countries. We can notice that limit of detection and the limit of quantification request advanced analytical tools. This is very difficult sometimes for several laboratories in the Arab countries. The level of accuracy and recovery requirement also will be difficult to be available in the laboratories in Arab countries. In regard to harmonizing this criteria based on national level, it complies with national criteria and food codex and standards. We can notice also the regulatory alignment and laboratories capacity gaps. Not all Arab countries may have the infrastructure, trained personnel, or budget to implement the proposed methods fully or not enough. They need more budget to apply that properly. But we can say that applying testing methods unified that will participate to unify the trade criteria will reduce the rejection and the risk. As a conclusion, Arab countries, we encourage to take the proposed method. It is according to the national guidance, and we need to unify and control aflatoxin at international level, but all member states to evaluate their capabilities. Once we evaluate our laboratory capacities, we will start to put and invest in the analytical equipment and training to raise the infrastructure for laboratories. Also, regional cooperation. We can request from international organization to help us invest in this field. The implementation shall be on several steps. First, we need to focus on main commodities in addition to the several sections, main sections for the import and export, for commodities in imports and exports. To focus on that in the very beginning to be in a better way, to avoid any rejection. Also, boosting regional cooperation by building central laboratories and reference laboratory to ensure good analysis and to be used as a reference or training for Arab laboratories. At the end, active participation is very important among Arab countries in different symposium, CCF or other platforms to ensure gaining interests of Arab countries. Thank you.